And for our objectives, we're just adding one today. We're going to solve exponential growth functions. And there are two types of exponential growth. We have we'll call them just basic interest. And we have compound interest. Okay, so exponential growth. Exponential growth, by definition, is when a quantity, so a number, an amount, increases at the same rate. So there are a couple things out there in the world that have exponential growth, right? If you go to the bank and open up a savings account, you are going to have exponential growth. For that period of time, for a year, or however long it's been determined, you will have the same increase in your money every month or every however often they do it. When you buy a house, you sign the paperwork to borrow the money, right? Because most people, when they buy a $150,000 house, don't walk in and say, here's $150,000. When people buy a $300,000 house, they don't walk in and say, here you go, here's all the money. They borrow money. And that has exponential growth. You sign paperwork that you are going to borrow that money at this certain rate. Same thing with a car payment. Credit cards. They let you spend pretend money, their money, and then you pay them back. Well, if you don't pay them back on time, they're going to charge you a rate, the same rate every month. So it is exponential. It gets big fast. Right? So this is the real life application. This is important to you to understand. So y equals, here's our formula. Y equals, this is basic interest. Y equals A 1 plus R times the quantity 1 plus R to the power of T. I'm going to move this basic interest over a little bit. And let's talk about what these variables mean, because sometimes when we get formulas that have too many variables, it gets confusing. So y is just my answer. A represents the amount. If I, invested $1,000, that's going to be my A, my amount. R stands for rate. And I make it a capital R because a lowercase r means what? Radius. Could you put a lowercase r? Sure. But I put a capital R because the lowercase r, people automatically begin to think it's radius, and it's not. And T stands for, what do you think? Time. This is basic interest. This formula is what you're going to use for basic interest. So here's an example. Yes, you have to write the word problem. The original value of a painting is $1,400. And the value will increase 9% each year. So if I'm at an art studio and they've got a painting there for $1,400, and it's a famous artist, so I know it's going to increase in value, and it increases 9% each year. How much is it the painting worth in 25 years? They do these at banks with what are called CDs, certificate of deposits. Meaning, I go to the bank and I say, you know what, I'm going to give you $1,000. And in exchange for that $1,000, you can keep it for 10 years or you can keep it for 5 years. In exchange for that, you're going to pay me interest on borrowing my money. So let's pretend it's not even a painting. Let's pretend I went to the bank and deposited $1,400 and I said, you can use this money for 25 years. And they, in return, are going to give me 9% interest each year. In 25 years, when I go back to the bank and I say, hey, I want my money back, how much money am I going to get? So let's figure it out. The formula, y equals a parentheses 1 plus r to the power of t. We're going to substitute. Y is my answer, equals, what's a? What's my amount? 1,400. 1 plus, what's my rate? Good, Arlo, it's not 9. Substituting, so we have y as our answer. Our a is our amount, which is $1,400. We have 1, because that's in our formula, plus, and Arlo told me the rate was 0.09 because 9% as a decimal is 0.09. You cannot just put in 9 as your rate. Our rate is 9%, meaning 9/100ths. And what's my T? What's my time? Ian? 25. So then we simply take our calculator. 1,400, 1,400. 1 plus 0.09 to the 25th power. And we get a solution of y equals 12072.31292. What does that mean? Is that what I'd write down for my answer? No. What would my solution be? What's my answer? In 25 years, if I decided to sell this painting, Alex, what could I sell it for? So 12,072. And how many cents? 31. So, in 25 years, my investment, if this was the bank, if I gave the bank right now, I invested, I said, yes, you can keep this $1,400, but in return, you're going to pay me 9% interest. Now, this interest rate's hard to get. If you could time travel to the 80s, that interest rate would be around, but it doesn't exist right now. Right? But in 25 years, without doing anything, your money would increase from $1,400 to $12,000. That's a pretty good ROI, return on investment. All right, so compound interest is the next one. So basic interest, this is the formula you use. Compound interest. Compound interest has a different formula. Basic interest is just calculated every year, right? Just at the end of the year, it goes up 9%. At the next year, it goes up 9%. And the next year, it goes up 9%. Compound interest happens multiple times. So maybe they do the interest instead of once a year, each year, they do it every month. Compound interest happens more frequently. Or maybe they do it once a week, or they do it twice a year. Compound interest happens more frequently. All right, so here's the formula. It's defined as the account, or whatever it is, pays interest, pays extra money on both the principal which is your original amount, and it pays interest on the interest of previous years. This is where it gets big really, really fast. Right up here for basic interest, I basically get 9% every year. You know, if you calculate it and you figure 9% of this is $45, every year I get an extra $45. Just $45, $45, $45, $45. Down here, if I, get money, let's say I get $100, and the first year I earn 10%, so I get 10 more dollars. I get $110. Then the next year, I get 10% of my new amount. I don't get another $10, I get another 10%. And that's $11. Which means the third year I have $121. And then this year, I don't get $10, I get 10% of my new amount. Plus $12.10. That means in year, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. In year 4, I'm getting what? $133.10. And then I get not 10 more dollars, I get 10% of this, which is $13.31, and so on and so forth. So in basic interest, they just take the same number and add it every year. In compound interest, they take my percent, but my value changes every time. So each time they add to it, I'm getting more money. This is bank accounts. This is the majority of life, credit cards. In fact, we're going to do a credit card example for this. All right, are you ready? Here's the formula. A equals P 1 plus R over N. And since it's exponential, I have to have an exponent. But my exponent is N times T. And we're going to define all of these variables in our formula. A stands for the answer. If you think to yourself, I don't want to put A for my answer, I want to put Y. Could you make this problem read Y equals? Yeah. A stands for the answer. What do you think P stands for? Look in our definition. What do you think P stands for? The principal. Which is just the original amount. It's just called a principal. R stands for rate. N stands for the number of times, and T stands for time. All right, here we go. You have $400 charged to your credit card. It's not a lot, right? I mean, lots of people's credit card bills are way over this. So $400, it's not a huge amount. But you decide at this moment, you're like, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to put any more money on this credit card. I don't want to get stuck. The interest rate is 22.5%. just kind of high. But, you know, one of the horrible things about credit is the only way to build credit is to use credit. So, but you decide, I can't do it anymore. I've got to stop. $400, that's enough. I'm not going to spend any more on it. In fact, I'm not going to pay it for a while. I need to give myself some time, right? So you're going to wait 2 years to pay it off. How much is the bill? Now, mind you, you can't just ignore this $400 bill for the rest of your life. They're going to make you pay a little tiny bit every month, or else they're going to send people after you. But if you were given the opportunity to just wait 2 years, to just forget about it, not pay anything for 2 years, how much are you going to pay? So let's figure it out. My formula is A equals P 1 plus R over N to the N times T power. A is my answer, so I don't know what that is. P is my principal. How much money am I starting with? 400. This is compounded monthly, right? You get a credit card bill every month. So 1 plus, what's my rate? So write 22.5% as a decimal. 0.225 over, how often do you get a credit card bill? Once a month, so that's 12 months in a year. The number of times, you get 12 of them. And how long do you get them for? 2 years. So N, again, is 12 times 2 for 2 years. All right, so $400. 1 plus 0.225 over 12, because a credit card bill comes once a month, to the power of 12 times 2, or 24. If you just ignored it, how much would you pay? $624.72. Because of course, money is going to round up. So again, to use this formula, your principal, then the number 1 plus the rate, always as a decimal, and then the number of times. That's where it gets tricky sometimes. So like, if it's compounded annually, the number of times is 1. If it's compounded quarterly, the number of times is what? 4. Compounded monthly, 12. Compounded annually, the number is 1. I don't think there's anything else. Quarterly, monthly, and annually. Sometimes it's bi-monthly, twice a month. So if you had $400 and you decided to wait it out at 22.5% interest, at the end you'd pay $624.72. Debt is scary. Compound interest is crazy.